Reddit, what is the most extreme / ridiculous example of strict parenting that you've ever seen? I was not allowed to have bad guy action figures. Just good guys. I ended up drawing the bad guys on cardboard and having the worst battles ever. My personal experience, all of which continued until I finally moved out. I had to put the phone up that I got at 16. Paid for myself, even the bill, up on the counter and turn it off every night at 8 p.m. It was also subject to be taken away if I didn't do my chores. Anything under an 85% in a class? Absolutely unacceptable. Instant grounding. And grounding at my house was me sitting on my bed not allowed to touch anything or speak to anyone for days at a time. No allowance / gifts outside of holidays, where I was required to put away 20% and had to get approval for whatever I spent it on. When I finally got a car, they tracked the miles every day down to 1/10 of a mile to make sure I was only going to school and back, not stopping at gas stations, whatever. The few times I did, grounded and had to walk to school, 11 miles. Everything I wanted I've had to pay myself. This means all my band fees, instrument rentals, marching band dues, my entire drum corps tour, I fundraised for it, all state festivals, everything. Rated R movies or PG-13. No way. Not even when I was 17. I went on a drum corps tour against my parents' wishes. I ended up developing bad knee problems as well as what we think was a broken foot. We think it healed funny now. I wasn't able to get it checked out at the time. As much as I complained, I was too young to have knee problems and just over exaggerating. Today, I still have problems. Can't walk more than 2 flights of stairs or walk half a mile at once. Still trying to save up to get everything checked out. No insurance. Music is all I've ever had in life. I was and am very high achieving in that regard as well as my academics. I knew I wanted to go to school for music for years. This didn't stop my parents from grounding me from my instrument, which made it difficult to keep up my skills and set me back quite often. Also didn't stop them from trying to get my university to change my major to nursing. Locked the fridge and pantry. Snacks were forbidden. I ate meals prepared by them and nothing else. No seconds, no anything. To see friends, I had to ask 3 days in advance, get parents' phone numbers, have their parents meet mine, get a ride to wherever I was going, provide a full itinerary and proof that there would be an adult directly supervising at all times. Also, when my now fiance and I started dating, we had been best friends for 4 years at that point. I was limited to under 4 hours a day with him, as well as only 3 days a week, and only on approved dates, so no going to his house. It had to be a dinner or movie, etc. I turned to lying a lot on this. To put this in perspective, I have never been in trouble with the law. I graduated high school with honors, have never gotten a C in high school or university, and had never smoked / done drugs / anything. Never gotten in trouble at school, except for stealing something once, when I was bullied into it, had proof and everything, marks and all. At home, every time I got in trouble was for forgetting chores or not doing them the right way. I have severe ADD, so this was difficult for me. These all continued until I moved out, the day after I turned 18. My relationship with my parents? Only time we talk usually is when they need money. They cut me off as soon as I moved in with my boyfriend / now fiance shortly after I moved out for college. I was in dorms for a while. Several mental disorders made the dorms unbearable. I'm paying for my college education myself, without even a cosig loan from them. Life is hard, but much better, and I'm much happier, and I'm dealing with my problems that have developed as a result. I used to have sleepovers at a friend's house, and her father would sit with us to watch our movies, and fast forward PG-rated kissing scenes. We were 17. My best childhood friend wasn't allowed to pick out her own clothes. Even though she practically had no choice in the matter when it came to shopping, her crazy controlling father still insisted on laying out her outfit for the next day, or, at the very least, approving her clothing choice. This went on until she was about 17. She got herself a job, shopped in secret, and started sneaking around so she could dress like a mega skank. Her dad once found her sack of dirty clothes, he called them, and attempted to ground her. She ran away, shacked up with an abusive loser, and that's when we stopped hanging out. I hear she's a stripper now. Way to go, daddy-o. I have a friend whose parents thought she ate too much bread, so banned her from having any and grounded her for 2 weeks when they caught her sneaking toast. This was when we were 15. My parents were very strict. Examples. When my dad was done eating dinner, you were done eating dinner. But you had to eat everything on your plate too. He was a quick eater too, so I'm a quick eater. Almost any infraction resulted in a belt whipping. Lie, whipping. Break something, whipping. Grade below a B, whipping. Late for curfew, whipping. Not answering as quickly or as thoroughly as my dad wanted, whipping. We weren't always whipped. I was punched a couple times, once in the stomach, and once in the head. One brother was shot in the back with his BB gun when he and his friend were shooting on our property and a BB ricocheted and accidentally hit his friend. Another brother was beaten several times before he was 6 and then just ignored because he wasn't salvageable. My parents are the main reason it took me so long to have a child of my own. I didn't want to fuck them up. I now know myself well enough, at 40, to realize I won't make all the mistakes my parents did. TL. Doctor, my dad's a dick. I had an Iranian friend in middle school. Pretty hairy. Her parents decided one year that her grades weren't good enough, and as punishment, she wasn't allowed to shave/wax/remove any facial hair. I've never seen such a thick unibrow. In high school, I babysat a kid who was 10 or 11. I was a latchkey kid at 6. But, hey, all types. I showed up like I usually did for new jobs, with the babysitter kit, a duffel bag full of entertainment that went over well with every parent before his. Dragon Slayers, a kid's book about a princess who makes an evil witch see the error of her ways. Vetoed. Swords are bad. A plastic sword. Vetoed. Swords still bad. A Superman cape. Vetoed. Superman is the golden calf or something. Still a little unclear. Star Wars. Vetoed. Evil wizards. Forbidden Bridge. It's a board game. Vetoed. Pagan god idol. Only the duffel bag made it through that door. He was one cool kid, surprisingly. Super religious, but again, takes all kinds. Sweet, smart, super chill. When I was over, all we did was watch VeggieTales and Indiana Jones, the first and third ones only, but it was an easy job and he only tried to convert me a little bit. I never tell people my religion, so he didn't have much to go off of. Eventually I was allowed to babysit him at my place, and despite my best efforts, the only video game I could hook him on was a submarine math game. It was fun. Okay, we decided to replace the computer, and I offered his mom the old tower. They didn't have a computer, and he really liked the educational games on it. She said no, because she didn't want him to have access to the internet. I assured her that there was no way to access the internet from the computer. It was so old it predated the internet and couldn't be connected. She told me he was a smart kid and would figure out a way and would not accept the computer. Poor kid was standing there the whole time near tears. Halloween came around, and where I lived it was a babysitter tradition to show up in costume and offer to take the spawn trick or treating. I showed up as his hero, well, cross-dressing hero, Indiana Jones. Hat, whip, jacket, everything. The kid nearly exploded. I told his mom I could take him trick or treating if she wanted. I tried to be quiet, remembering him overhearing and crying about the old computer. She was oblivious, loudly restating my request and turning it down. The kid looked crushed behind her. She assured me that they'd already been out. It was 5. Everyone at the church had put out tables with candy and all the kids had gotten their trick or treating done in only 15 minutes. It was so convenient. So no thank you. She shut the door. Poor kid. I have nothing against being really religious, but religion wasn't even a factor in him not getting a computer or trick or treating. It was just plain ignorance about technology and the reason kids like Halloween. Hint, not convenience. Some friends and I were planning a sleepover. One friend's parents wouldn't let them go because they were worried we'd break out into gay sex orgies. I'm serious. A friend in high school had terrible parents. They made him pay for the food he ate out of their pantry and were all around ridiculously strict. His older sister ran away at 18. I'm surprised they weren't taken from them by authorities, honestly. Also once he was given a $700-800 Taylor acoustic guitar by a generous man at his church, and his parents took it from him and later sold it because it was a distraction from his all-A grades. Something about how playing guitar is a privilege he had to earn or some bullshit. My friend's father has a list of rules for his house that, if you just read them over, seem like regular family rules. No drugs, be home by 9, dinner at 6:30, do your homework, don't take things. Nothing weird there, right? Wrong. Any kind of drug found in his possession? Prescription or over the counter, not even cough drops, grounded for a month, not home by 6:30 p.m. No food, not home by 9 p.m. Locked out, he had to walk to my house on multiple occasions, just to find a place to sleep. But by far the worst of the worst was that anything found in his possession that was not believed to be his must be stolen and should and will be destroyed, trashed, thrown away. He had an autographed painting of 2D from the band Gorillaz that was a gift from a mutual friend. Ripped up the moment he got home. A kid wanting a banana at the grocery store. The mom wouldn't get it for him and he cried. She offered to buy him candy if he quit crying. Ag. My parents were fundamentalist Christian. Think the Duggars. Some stuff from growing up. I knew parents who would not allow their kids to call them mom/dad. It was ma'am and sir. My parents tried this, but gave up after a week, because I think they saw how silly it was. The rest of this stuff my parents did, too. Girls must wear skirts and dresses, because pants are sexualized and show off the feminine figure. 3. No reading a book, or watching a movie, unless an elder of the church, father or someone else, had seen/read and approved it first. 4. No secular music, no Christian rock, because drums are the devil's way of inciting sexual lust. 5. Homeschool, creationism, anti-feminism, just miseducation in general. 6. I was not allowed to call my best friend on the phone, because he was a boy and girls don't call boys. 7. No computers because porn and other anti-Christian stuff. I didn't go online until I was 18. 8. One year, they decided Christmas was too secular, and we were not going to get presents anymore because Jesus. It was an awful way to grow up. When I was in 5th grade, my buddy was verbally berated by his stepdad for about 5 full minutes for not lacing his high-top sneakers all the way up. His stepdad made him lace them up right in front of me, while he yelled at him. This kid also routinely got in trouble for getting dirty, his bike dirty, drinking soda, eating popcorn. He had braces, oh no. Pretty much anything. I ran into that kid years later, when he was just getting sober from heroin. When we were 19, and home from college, we went to a friend's house to watch a movie. Her parents asked to talk to her about halfway through, and by the time the movie ended we realized we hadn't seen her since. So we go out into the next room and she's sitting in the corner reading a Bible. Apparently her parents thought we were being too loud, and instead of asking us to keep it down they put her in timeout. We politely excused ourselves and went elsewhere. I got my door taken away, twice. Once when I was 9 for reading under the covers after my bedtime, and the other for having candy/other food with wrappers in my room, when I was 13. Try not having a door, and trying to change. I got kicked out, when I was 18. There's this couple at my church that believe that they are to have children until the mother's womb is shut. Since I've known them, they've had 4 more children, which totals to I think 12 or 13. They are all sheltered and homeschooled. The only outlet they have is to church. The eldest, who is now 17, has maybe seen 5 PG-13 movies, mostly because they were shown at church, and I think only a single rated R movie. When he hit puberty, he had a crush on a close friend of mine. Now that was interesting to see. Oh, and the mother's pregnant again. Did anyone else get super mad reading this thread? Because seriously, fuck most of these parents. A lot of them are huge dicks. When I worked in at the portrait studio in Sears, a lady brought her 2 children in and wanted their portraits only taken separately. She was very clear that she did not want them together whatsoever. Anyway, I was photographing her 2-year-old son while she was yelling at her 3-year-old daughter for seemingly no reason. When I asked what the matter was, because I was afraid she may be abusing the child from the crying, she told me that her daughter had misbehaved, by reading a children's book called Five Little Ducklings when she told her to sit, be still, and not speak. The girl was 3 years old, for fuck's sakes. I knew a kid whose dad was in the military. Whenever he did absolutely anything all pops frowned upon, he basically put him through a mini boot camp. Also, the first time I showed up, his mom lectured me on how I held a fork. I never went back.